All righty. Welcome, sports folk, to a mid-May episode of the Angry Hacks podcast. Nunzi here with you, leading us off with episode 50 of the Angry Hacks podcast. Pretty exciting, boys. Episode 50, 5-0. It's Friday. We're ready to talk some sports. I got Stan the Man. I got Michael Hall. We're gonna start with the little NBA playoffs. Lots going on there. We got a lot to talk about. Baseball, Mets and Yankees. A lot has changed since the last time we've been on air, and we'll definitely touch on the NFL draft, post-draft, how our Giants and Packers fared. Michael Hall, what's going on, brother?
It's always a pleasure to chat with you, gentlemen.
Of course. And Stan the Man, I know you're fired up to talk all sports.
Oh, yeah, but especially the Celtics and their big victory over the 76ers and just ready to face LeBron.
Yeah, it was a nice little series for the Celtics, and without further ado, man, let's talk about it. Talk about that series right there.
Well, I just have to say that this team, the Celtics team, is just the most fun team to root for. I love every single player on this team, save one. You could probably guess which guy pisses me off the most, but these guys all fight with heart. They're in every game. It's just, a guy gets hurt, the next guy steps in. Brad Stevens is the greatest coach in the game. I don't care what the votes say. I don't care about it. He's a great coach. Every player in the league knows it. Every coach in the league knows it. Fans know it. Everyone knows it. This team knows it. And they know that there's someone special driving this team, and they trust him. Every single one of these players has bought into the process. Oh, you know what? We're going to sign Greg Monroe. Greg Monroe, you're going to come off the bench. You might play a few minutes. He's bought into that. This guy usually plays starter minutes usually. He's playing off the bench here and there. He hasn't gotten into every game. You got guys just ready to step in to take the place of the guy in front of them. There's always guys ready to go. Everybody can switch on every play. They switch defensively a lot. That's what makes the team click. I love this team. This is a fun team to root for. No superstars. We had our superstar in Kyrie. He's out. We have our all-star in Horford still there. But he's not a superstar, but he's an all-star, and he's showing it here in this playoffs that he does everything well. This guy gets criticized for being called Average Al in Boston. He's been called Average Al. You know what? I'll take 100 Average Als. This guy rebounds. He shoots the three. He has good low post moves still, that little baby hook that he has. He plays defense on centers, power forwards, small forwards. He switches on everything. He's a great passer in the low post. He runs the pick and roll well at the top of the key with no matter who the Celtics have out there, whether it's Kyrie, whether it's Shane Larkin or Terry Rozier, who's ever out there, he runs the pick and roll perfectly with them. It's because he is so good at what he does. And I don't know if you guys see that, but Al Horford is so good. Give me some of your thoughts on Al Horford.
To be honest with you, man, I really like the guy. He kind of goes unnoticed in the big man world. I mean, you get a lot of talk about guys like Embiid and Karl Anthony Towns and guys like that, but this guy's very unheralded. He goes unnoticed, and he does a lot of things like you just explained, a lot of things well. He's not amazing at anything, but he does everything very good. And that's all he needs to do with that type of team,
Yeah, and then I didn't even mention that when Baines is out there, he's a rim protector too, but he's a lot of the time he is our rim protector on the floor as well. He guards guys down low, he guards them up at the top of the 3-point line, and he doesn't lose anything wherever he is. He's still good on defense wherever he is. He shoots a high percentage from three. His free throw percentage is real high. I trust him probably more than anybody else on this team right now from the free throw line. Even though we shoot a high percentage as a team in this postseason, we're at 77%. Marcus Smart and Jaylen Brown are really not great from the line. And Horford's the guy that I trust, and he's made big plays at the end of all these games. Really, everybody has. But Al Horford just doesn't get enough credit. You mentioned Embiid, you mentioned Karl Anthony Towns. You know, this is the thing. Like, he's our veteran guy, right? And everyone's talking about these baby Sixers, and this is their young team, and they're young and they're great. But you know what? The Celtics team is actually younger.
Yeah.
And that wasn't talked about until after the series was over. Till like a few people were like, you know what? I'm looking at this, and Tatum's 20, Brown's 21, Rozier's 23. You know, Horford's our old guy, but Smart, he plays like a seasoned vet, he's only 24. So Embiid and Simmons are older than Tatum and Brown. And then you have Redick running out there. They've had guys that have been in the league for a long time. It's just that they sucked for so long in Philly. People forgot about them, to be honest. But Bellinelli, Redick, Covington's been around a bunch of years. Ilyasova's been around for a long time. These guys have been around. And, you know, no one's talking about the Celtics youth. You know, and it's just been a pleasure. It's been awesome watching. The guy that pisses me off the most, and this guy has tunnel vision. Marcus Morris, it must be my least favorite time of the game, is every time he touches the ball, and he never looks left, and he never looks right. He just looks at that hoop. It's, I'm shooting. I could be fading away from 45 feet or shooting a layup at one. It doesn't matter where he gets the ball. His mind is just on scoring. And I know that we need that sometimes. But he really pisses me off. And if there's anyone that's ever going to give me a heart attack, it's probably Marcus freaking Morris. It just really pisses me off. What's up?
Let me ask you a question, because, I mean, I think at this moment, at this point in time, you kind of know how I feel about this guy. But talk about just the absolute amazing play from Scary Terry. I just like calling him Scary Terry. Terry Rozier, who's not a starter. He was not a starter for them. He was a guy that came off the bench, but he looks like a starter.
Oh, he does. And you know what? A lot of people are forgetting where his kind of confidence started coming from. And it was last year in the postseason when Isaiah went out. Rozier had to step up and get some minutes then, and he played pretty well. Not like he's playing now, but he played pretty well. And it really, like, moved into this year, like, pretty well. And I was like, you know what? I think this is why they were like, you know what? We can trade Avery Bradley because we have this guy, Terry Rozier, behind him. And Terry Rozier has stepped into that Avery Bradley role. And you know what? Maybe and then some, because he's been on the floor all year. Avery Bradley has been injury-plagued, and he was again this year. So the Celtics have said, you know what? This Celtics offense runs with the point guard. It's why Isaiah Thomas was so good last year. It's why when Rozier filled in for him a little, he was good. Kyrie comes in. Everything runs through the point guard, which most teams it does. But our offense is geared towards the point guard shooting at least 18 times a game, something like that. 15 to 18 times a game. Now, Rozier shoots a little less than Kyrie does. But if it's him out there, he's going to shoot. If Larkin's out there, he's going to shoot. If Jabari Bird has to be out there, he'll shoot. And Rozier has not been afraid to shoot that big shot. He never gets cold feet. And his ability to not turn over the ball is amazing, like what I've seen in this postseason.
And he's got some scary confidence.
He does, and I love it.
You got to love that. I mean, just like ice in his veins sometimes. Do you guys know, why they call him Scary Terry? Do you know who Scary Terry is?
No.
It's funny because I said it, I think, in one of my classes for some reason, and the kids knew what it was. He's actually, there's a show called Rick and Morty.
Yeah, I know that show.
Yeah, and there's a character, and his name is Scary Terry. That's where they get it from. And the guy, he's got like a purple, pinkish, like scary looking face, but he looks like Freddy Krueger. He's got like knife hands, a weird shirt, and like the hat. But he's like kind of like an antagonist in the show, but that's where they got it from.
And I think it's funny because even on the bench, Daniel Tice had the Scary Terry shirt on.
Oh, I saw that. Did he have it with the Bledsoe jersey on?
Oh no, but somebody else in the crowd did. I saw that.
That's a Barstool thing.
Oh, okay. Yeah. No, I mean, these guys with the T-shirts, by the way, they come up with this stuff so fast, and it's pretty awesome.
Like the next day.
The next day, these guys are quick on the trigger, and it all started in Boston, I think, with those Yankee suck shirts. But it comes out fast.
Yeah,
and it's awesome.
Now, I actually have a couple of interesting NBA questions for you that I've been kind of waiting to ask you because I listen to Tiki and Tierney on the CBS Sports Radio on my way home from work sometimes. And those guys are pretty damn good. I like listening to them. I like Brandon Tierney. He's very knowledgeable. And Tiki actually does a nice job. But anyway, you already kind of mentioned Brad Stevens, and he definitely got he I don't know, to not even get a vote is just beyond me. But going in a different direction here, you've been hearing it for years now, and it doesn't go away because he's still playing at a high level, maybe even a higher level, and that's the LeBron versus Jordan debate. I mean, you hear it all the time, correct, guys? I mean, you hear it all the time if you're watching any type of sports. I want to know kind of what you feel about that. Who is the better basketball player?
All right. For me, do you want me to go, Mike, or do you want to?
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Go, Rye. Well, I want to hear what you guys have to say.
Well, for me, it's still Jordan, and it's just the fact that, and maybe it's because maybe it's like a fine wine, and these older players age well. And I know LeBron, I'm not taking away anything from LeBron. He's in the conversation, obviously. He's like the second or third best player ever, right? But I think Jordan's number one. And part of the reason for me is I don't think Jordan ever took off games. And I hate saying that about LeBron, but you know what? It's true. There's games where I feel like he's given up in the past, especially in the postseason before he ever won that first championship. He gave up some games. I remember like you watching him, and he just looked, dejected on the floor and like didn't care because he just knew they couldn't win, and he stopped giving it his all.
Right.
Now it happened this year. The same thing happened this year, and then they made trades. And even though the trades aren't really good at helping the team, I guess it just made kind of little spark under him, and it changed his attitude. But I feel like he wasn't all in. And even against, a lot of people are saying it the first round of the playoffs against the Pacers, he wasn't all in there for a little while. And then, and then he's like, I don't care about these young guys. They're going to go with their veterans. And they put Tristan Thompson in. They played Kyle Korver and J.R. Smith and Kevin Love, all these guys that he's played with in the past. And they go in, and it kind of rejuvenates him. I don't think Jordan ever needed rejuvenation. Jordan was just in it all the time. Played 82 games every year. Not every year, but almost every year. This year was the first time LeBron ever played a full season.
Yep.
And that's not even the biggest part, of the argument. I think that the fact that the game has changed has really helped LeBron. You can't hand check like you could in the 90s and the 80s with Jordan. It doesn't happen. They call a foul on that every time. And Jordan, I mean, they both got calls, but Jordan had to play in an era where you could like shove the guy, and fights broke out in the court. They didn't throw them out of the game.
Yeah.
And it's just a different time period. And he won. He made it to the finals. He won. If he didn't retire the first time, he probably would have won 8 in a row. But they won. He won 6.
Yeah.
2 repeats.
6-0 too. Never lost.
Right, and never lost in the finals, and that's tough. And I hate to say that LeBron is hurt by making it to the finals and losing, but he kind of is.
And I'm kind of glad your argument. I was waiting. You know what? I knew you were going to kind of say that, so I was kind of waiting for it. But you mentioned the game has changed, and I'm glad you said that because I think that plays a big part in debating these two players as well. Mike, what do you think?
Well, for me, it's always Jordan. I mean, LeBron is tremendous, but I think, Stan, you hit it on the head with Jordan. You mentioned LeBron kind of needing rejuvenation is the word you use. I think it was a good word, and I agree with you. Jordan his hunger and his fear of losing, I think, is what drove him to greatness. And I tend to just like that a little bit better. I mean, people hate LeBron because of the flopping and the crybaby antics. I mean, Jordan flopped too, and Jordan bitched at refs up and down the court as well. And then the argument, well, Jordan had Phil Jackson and he had Scottie Pippen. I mean, LeBron played with some pretty good players too, and Chris Bosh and Dwayne Wade are pretty good.
Oh yeah,
Kevin Love's not bad himself. Kyrie Irving. Well, funny about Irving, I thought about this when we were talking Celtics. Kyrie wanted out of Cleveland so he can kind of step in and be the man, right?
Yeah.
Both of those teams, the team he left and the team he went to, are playing in the Eastern Conference Finals without him.
Yeah.
Dude, you know what? I'm going to change topics because you said this, and what I'm thinking about this, and this kind of worries me a little. Is he left Cleveland so he could be the man. You're exactly right, and he comes to Boston, and we have a chance now to make the finals without him. Now, What does that say to him? Is that like, wow, maybe I picked the wrong team. This team could make it there without me. Do I need to leave them? Because he's not signed long term. He's not signed long term yet.
No.
And that in a way it freaks me out. I don't think it's going to change anything. I think he will re-sign with Boston. I think he liked the basketball situation, the chance to play under Brad Stevens and with guys like Al Horford and Hayward and stuff like that. But
all this without Hayward too. People forget about Hayward.
Yeah, and it just worries me just a little that he might get like cold feet. Like, oh my gosh! Like if we won the championship, like shock the world, I think that would really change. He'd be like, oh my god, what do I do?
I guarantee he's been thinking about it. It has to have crossed his mind.
That's kind of interesting. And yeah, Mike, you said Hayward. He hasn't been around all season. He got hurt in the first game.
I know.
Just what about this, Rye? Let's say Hayward doesn't get hurt and he plays all season. Doesn't that change Tatum's role all year?
Yes,
because he has been fantastic.
He's been unreal, and it changes a lot of guys, roles on this team, but mostly Tatum and Jaylen Brown. And if Hayward's there, he's not getting the minutes now. So, well, he'd get minutes, but he wouldn't be getting these minutes. He wouldn't be the guy. He's the guy that creates for us on offense. He's the one that's shooting the shots when the shot clock's running down. That's the guy we want shooting because he's the best jump shooter we got.
He's going to be a stud
because he's long. Now, the crazy thing about it is, this is just going to help us for the future because now he has this confidence and he knows that he can succeed in the postseason against the best of the best. Mm-hmm. He's shown it now.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, round one. Yeah.
No, what I was just going to say, just to piggyback off that, I mean, he went to a program like Duke, which is used to winning and being in big games. So I think that helps too.
Oh, definitely. And as much as I rip on Duke and don't like Duke,
right? We don't.
it's definitely the case. This guy's 20. He carries himself like he's 30. He carries himself like he's been in the league for a long time, and agreed. I love it. He's very mature. I really like every time he shoots. Like there's only a few times where I'm like, oh, that's a bad shot, or I wish he would give that up. But no, for the most part, he shoots high quality, high percentage shots. Yeah. Nothing ridiculous. Sometimes, but every rookie's going to do that. Every player's going to do that. Look at freaking Marcus freaking Morris.
You like Marcus Morris, Roy?
Oh, drives me freaking bananas. Quickly.
Go ahead.
Yeah. I was just going to say one thing about this team, and like the guys that go unnoticed are the heart and soul of the team. And, I think everybody that's not a Celtic fan hates Marcus Smart, but I love this guy. I love this guy. He makes every big play. He'll turn over the ball maybe 5 times in a game, 6 times in a game, but then if you need a play, he'll make that play. When the time comes for someone to make a play, he'll make the play. And I just love him. Aaron Baines has been a very big spark plug for this team, takes a lot of posterized dunks and doesn't care that he's going to be on posters by all these guys. He don't care. He's great, and I love it.
Yeah, I mean, he has been outplaying. I mean, the guy hasn't really played much, but he has been outplaying a guy like Greg Monroe, which Greg Monroe is a better talent than Baines. But I think for this team, the fit for this team, Baines just it makes sense. He plays very physical. He played Embiid really well defensively, by the way, the best he could.
Yeah, the best he could. And you know what? Letting Embiid get the, not letting him, but Embiid getting his 30 points and 12 rebounds.
He's gonna get that.
He's going to get that if they keep giving him the ball like they did.
Yep.
But when it mattered, there was time. He affected a lot of his shots.
Mm-hmm.
And I would take Baines any day. This guy is a bruiser. This guy was a rugby player, in Australia. And It shows out there. He's tough. He's a tough SOB.
Yep. And you know what, Rye? And what it all comes down to, you're talking about guys like Baines being on the floor to play physical against Embiid, all this kind of stuff, all these rotations, Terry Rozier being the guy he is. I am putting it all on Mr. Brad Stevens and the way he is coached. He knows how to coach different situations, which I think is important to winning.
Yeah. And this is the big thing with we're talking about Baines and we're talking about Stevens. We're talking about what he plays. He's not playing Monroe like we talked about. Now against Cleveland, which I can't believe we're here, and I love that we are. Mm-hmm. Against Cleveland, all depends on who Cleveland throws in their starting lineup. If Tristan Thompson starts, I think Baines will be in the starting lineup.
Yep.
If Tristan Thompson doesn't start, I think Ojale jumps back into the starting lineup so that he can guard LeBron for the first few minutes of the game.
Like he did Giannis, right?
Did Giannis. And he's not going to be on him as much as he was on Giannis because we're going to need the offense. But he's going to be out there 10 minutes a game guarding LeBron. But Marcus Morris is going to have to step up and guard LeBron. Tatum's going to guard LeBron a little. Jaylen Brown's going to guard LeBron. Horford's going to guard LeBron. They're all going to take turns. But yep. I think if Thompson's not in the starting lineup, I think Ojale's out there starting the game on LeBron. Now, if Thompson's in the starting lineup, I think that Baines is out there guarding Thompson. They're going to have Tatum on LeBron, and I think Horford will be on Love unless they switch those and put Horford on LeBron and Tatum on Love. But the thing with the Cavaliers against the Celtics is Tristan Thompson kills the Celtics. It feels like he gets 15 to 20 rebounds every game. It's not really the case, but it feels like it. And then Kevin Love always has these monster first quarters against the Celtics. The reason being is they just feed him the ball. They run plays for Kevin Love the whole first quarter to give LeBron rest. And you might have seen that article this week about LeBron resting in the games, and he's kind of perfected it, and he has.
Mm.
That's what they do against the Celtics. Love always gets like 8 shots in the first quarter. And I'll be curious to see if that continues to happen here. But don't be surprised if we see some weird stuff with Ojale back in the starting lineup. Maybe even Marcus Morris, because the reason why Avery Bradley was expendable was because of Terry Rozier, but it was also because Avery Bradley couldn't guard LeBron James, even though he's a great defender. He's just not big enough. Marcus Morris is big enough. We traded for Marcus Morris for this series. That's why he's on this team.
Well, let's hope he's going to piss you off at some point, but let's hope he makes a difference in that aspect. Yeah. So we'll see going forward. First game is Sunday, I believe, 3:30, correct?
Yeah. Great job, NBA, putting a basketball game 1 or a game 7. If the Celtics-Sixers game went game 7, it would have been 3:30 on Sunday, which is freaking Mother's Day, you dummies. Like, why would you put it on Mother's Day so that every guy in America that's a fan of these teams could be, oh, honey, I'll give you the morning and the night, but from 3:30 to 7:30, I have to watch a basketball game.
So more divorce this year.
Yes,
because of this Sunday.
Like, you dumb shits.
One more question. If we can quickly kind of talk the other side, the Western Conference, because it's super interesting as well. You got Rockets, you got Warriors. My big question, it's pretty straightforward question. Can the Rockets win that series?
Yes, but I really don't think so. I think the Warriors are so much better as a team. They've turned it on a little bit in the playoffs here. During the regular season, they weren't fully engaged, but they are now. Curry's back and he's healthy. They have, they still have four of the best guys that you can run out there,
Mm-hmm.
and I guess a lot depends on what the Rockets are going to do with Clint Capella because he's really their guy that he hasn't come out of nowhere, but he kind of has, I guess, in a way. Like he's almost like a star. Some team is going to throw him a max offer this year, and they're going to put the Rockets in a tough spot.
Mm.
Do we match this? Do we spend this money on him? If we got to pay Harden, we got to pay Paul. But Harden and Paul have faltered so many times in the postseason. And I know a lot of people keep saying it, but I have to see them do it before I could ever say they're going to win the big one.
Agreed. You know what too? Damn, I just had a brain fart. But Chris Paul, you mentioned Chris Paul. He has absolutely turned it on the last few games when that series against the Jazz. He absolutely turned on. He was the guy. It wasn't Harden in that series. It was Chris Paul.
No, I know.
Chris Paul, and then and like you said, Capella played fantastic, and Capella played so well against Gobert too, a guy that is pretty good defensively. That team is good defensively, Utah, and Jazz had the Rockets had their way with that team.
Yeah, they did. I mean, Capella really played. He showed that it doesn't really matter who's there. He's going to get those rebounds, and he's going to put a lot of shots back, inside shots, and it doesn't matter who's defending. What rim protector's out there, he's still 6'10", and his arms are freakishly long, and he can get a hook shot or a putback over anybody, and he hustles. He hustles more than anybody out there.
Yeah.
He's like a gazelle running down the floor sometimes. He runs the full court for, to be the follower for like an alley-oop or something. The guy, he's really athletic, and he's a great rim protector, and he leads the postseason in blocks. He's a tough inside presence. But what happens with him against the Warriors when they're shooting the lights out? And
they're playing small. Yep.
Down low.
Yeah, and that's what I was kind of gonna go at. So I mean, answer me this, because I mean, me and Mike, we don't know too much about the NBA, obviously, and that's why we got you. We got you to discuss this a little bit. So answer us this: how do the Warriors have so much success without really a good number five, a good center?
Well, this small ball lineup that they ran out there a bunch of years ago now with Iguodala playing that 5 spot, and Iguodala is just a solid defender, and he's getting old now. He's 34, but he's 6'6", so and Draymond pushes to that center who's a 6'7" center.
That's amazing.
But it's amazing. It's the ball movement, it's the spreading of the floor, it's the fact that all of them could shoot.
Yeah.
Clay, Steph Curry, and Durant are 3 of the best shooters in the game today, and they're all on the same team.
That's scary.
And it's scary. And Durant could shoot over anybody. Curry can shoot from his hip from half court, and I feel like it has a 50% chance of going in. And Clay can sneakily hit 11 threes in a game without you even realizing. Because they're so good. And when you have a guy like Draymond Green who will guard any team's best player if he needed to, he's an unbelievable defender, and his work ethic and heart and hustle in the postseason is like no other. He has really turned this team into, he really turned that knob, to 11 in Spinal Tap in this series, like in this playoffs,
Love it.
Like no other, because he lit a fire under Durant. He knows his role, and he plays it perfectly. And they don't need the guy that's going to slow them down. And like JaVale McGee or Pachulia, they don't need that center out there to slow them down. They don't need it.
It's so amazing too, dude, because Zaza and McGee, they're the centers on that team, and they play like 10 to 15 minutes a game.
Yeah,
and they seem to rotate like guys like Looney and David West. They get between 15 to 25-ish minutes, and it works.
Yeah, because if McGee and Pachulia are out there, they're not going to be able to spread the floor. So just say they're facing Capella, who's the shot blocker, or a Gobert, who's a shot blocker. Those guys are great rim protectors. If McGee and Pachulia are out there, they're going to be by the rim.
Yeah.
But if Draymond's out there on him, even though Draymond's not a great 3-point shooter, he still shoots the 3-pointer. You have to defend it.
Yep.
You have to. So that center then moves out towards the 3-point line, and then they lose that rim protector that's out there. It's kind of like how Ben Simmons against the Celtics, they didn't even play up on him at all because they knew he was never going to shoot. And I can't believe that he never at least attempted
a
an
three.
Outside.
Yeah.
Just to put it in their mind. Like, oh, he's going to shoot it. We might have to go out there to defend him. No, he never did. So we never did it. We never went out there to defend him. But with the Warriors, that doesn't happen because Draymond will shoot that shot.
Amazing. That's amazing. But yeah, it's amazing how much success they have just, playing that small lineup. But you said it. They can shoot. They can shoot the lights out. Huh.
Yeah, they're impressive.
I'm kind of with you though. If I were to bet, I would say the Warriors are going to win that series. But I could see, the Rockets could win, but I think just the Warriors are going to be too much for them.
I agree.
That's where it's going to go. Any more basketball you want to touch on before we move on?
No, just the Dwayne Casey getting fired and Brad Stevens not getting a vote and all that quick banana. I'll do it really quick.
Go.
Now, Dwayne Casey, a lot of people thought he was going to get fired. The fact that he wins Coach of the Year and then gets fired, it looks bad on Toronto, but I think they just think they need a change. I do think it's a little unfair that it's LeBron that he's run into that's beaten him every time, and it's kind of unfair. He's not beating LeBron. DeMar DeRozan is not guarding LeBron. He's not, OG Anunoby is a rookie who he had on LeBron. I think it just looked bad that in Game 4 it looked like they gave up. But you know what? Their backs were against the wall and they didn't fight. But they won 59 games this year. They went 59-23 and had the number 1 seed, and then you fire your coach who's had 3 50-win seasons in a row. You know what? You're Toronto. You've never won a championship. This is the best you've ever been. This guy should be known as the greatest coach in history. You shouldn't be firing him after winning 59 games. Okay? Now, the other thing is these coaches voted him the coach of the year. Good for Dwayne Casey. He changed the offense coming into this year, and it helped. And it seemed like it was going in the right direction until they ran into LeBron, right? But these Coach of the Year votes, Brad Stevens didn't get one. You mentioned it a little earlier. I don't care that he didn't win.
Right.
Just the fact that he didn't get a vote is weird to me. But that's it.
Yeah, oh well, I guess, whatever. He's sitting in the Eastern Conference Finals right now, so.
Exactly.
I'd rather have that championship.
I agree. And if they gave it a postseason coach of the postseason, he'd probably get that. But you know what? They don't, so be it.
So be it. Exactly. I'm with you. All right, boys, baseball. Let's move on. Baseball, since we've last talked, those Mets who started 11-1 have totally taken just a nosedive. And God, good freaking God. Let's just start with them because I'm ready to explode. Ever since that, man, they're 7-16, 4-11 in their last 15. Just an absolute back to New York Mets baseball we've been used to seeing the last few years. And I just didn't see it coming so quickly like this. I really, in my heart, and we talked about this, right? In my heart, I really thought they were going to be a pretty good team. Not the 11-1 team that they started out to be, but I thought they were going to be a pretty solid team throughout the year. But holy shit. It's the same story, though. They can't hit again. They cannot hit, and their pitching is not going to take them anywhere this year. It's just not. It's not good enough all around. Let's just talk about this, and then I want to be that annoying guy that runs that shows you a couple of numbers. But let's just let's talk about this, Rye. What the hell are you seeing from this team right now?
I'm seeing a lot of bad at bats. I'm seeing a lot of long counts for our pitchers, high pitch counts. I'm seeing erratic from everyone's erratic. I thought that. I'm just really frustrated in the lack of fight that I thought that we would have and that we looked like we had the whole beginning of the season. And it just looked like we were going to keep fighting. There's a lot of games that, we had that winning streak and we lost a few, but then we won some games late and come from behind wins. And the bats are going cold now. And we have like one guy on this team hitting over like 250. And it's Cabrera. He's hitting 321. There's nobody else hitting. And it's scary. I look at the lineup: Nimmo 240, Cespedes 250, Adrian Gonzalez 250, who's actually been okay at times. 211 for Flores, 198 for Conforto.
Yeah.
Reyes has a few hits, but it feels like he hasn't had a hit this year still.
Yep.
Rosario 240, and it's just not. It's just so frustrating, and we finally get rid of Harvey, and we feel like this is like a weight off our shoulder, that maybe the cancer is gone, and it hasn't looked good since then either.
Yo, and I'm so glad you brought up those two guys. This is, and that word is perfect, frustrating. That is what Met fans are right now, is frustrated, absolutely frustrated. And you bring up two players, I'm glad you did, Rosario and Conforto. Okay, Rosario, he's very young still, but I'm not seeing much from him right now, bud. I'm looking around the league at some of these young guys, and they're playing awesome. Guys like the two Braves guys, Albies and Acuna, are playing like seasoned vets. You got a bunch of these other young guys. I don't know. Mike, you throw some guys out that are young that are really playing good.
Well, about 6 miles away, you got Torres and Andujar.
No, I know. I knew. I was gonna get to them, you asshole. But
I figured, but I mean, they kind of jump out in my head.
I know that. But there's some other guys around the league, real young dudes like these two, that are playing their balls off right now. I just can't think. Keep thinking, but I'm super frustrated because a guy like Rosario, who I want to be so good. He was the number one prospect a year ago, but he just doesn't look good. And Conforto, a guy that I thought was going to be like our 3-hitter for years to come, hitting under 200. He's got 2 or 3 home runs. I mean, it's so freaking frustrating. It's not even funny. It's so frustrating. Raya, those two frustrating you as much as they're frustrating me?
Yes, and this is and I just hope it's just a frustration for now and things get better. And I know that you're bullshitting a few years ago, whenever that was, and I was like, why don't we trade Rosario for like McCutchen? And obviously that looks foolish to say it because he's the number one ranked prospect in the league, and it looks foolish that we would trade him for like a veteran that's getting washed up. But this is what always worries me about the Mets. All these guys I just feel like they don't pan out. The only two hitters that ever panned out are Wright and Reyes. That's it. I got to take a break. Back in a few minutes.
That's fine, Mike. I'll just keep going, but he's right. It's just I know. Listen, I know Rosario. This is his first full season. But when you look over at guys in the same division like Albies and Acuna, these guys are absolute stars right now. They're playing awesome.
The kid Kingery in Philly, right?
Oh yeah, there you go, Kingery, and even a guy like Rhys Hoskins. He's a young guy too.
Sure. So, you look at, especially in your own division, guys you see a lot. A kid, you just saw Cincinnati, a kid like Winkler, whatever. I mean, Duvall's still pretty young. I mean, they're not really lighting it up by any
Trey
stretch,
Turner.
Trey Turner, there's a lot. Now, I think with Rosario and Conforto, I'll try to put a positive spin on it. I mean, Rosario, yes, still very, very raw, very young. I mean, listen, I don't think you rushed him up here. He did have to earn this spot, and I think he did. But I think as he matures, as you see the plate discipline improve, I mean, he swings at everything.
Everything.
Which at the big league, Vladimir Guerrero.
Yeah.
And there's only one Vlad Guerrero, or maybe two now.
Yeah.
But I think there's enough skill there, long, lanky, wiry kind of frame that I think can really play. I think if the Blake discipline comes, and that's something that can and usually does for the good ones, he can still be a player. Conforto, I think he's still really young, but I think we've seen just about enough from him to kind of feel okay about him. I mean, the injury was really weird. Maybe still not 100%, or maybe just a lot of rust, you would hope. I don't think he's a bad hitter. Like I said, I think we've seen enough of the kid to just he's a good hitter, and he has a professional approach. So I think you want to call it a lot of rust, or maybe came back too soon. I don't know. But if that's the case, you got to get him right physically. But I think that's all it is with him, is physical. So those two guys. Now listen, Cespedes is going to hit.
He's starting to heat up a little bit, to be honest with you.
But the thing about Cespedes, you're always waiting for a DL stint.
Yep.
Which I'm sure will come.
Mm-hmm.
But so, he's not going to hit 250 all year. He's not. He's going to hit to the baseball card. He's going to get back into the 270s. And he's going to have some big hits for you guys as long as he's on the field. So, yeah, bats go cold. We understand that. But the pitching, I mean, Vargas, geez.
Oh, my God.
I mean, Syndergaard has been he's been, compared to an average major league pitcher, he's still been good, but he's not been close to what you need from Noah Syndergaard.
Nope.
DeGrom, of course, the health. So, yeah, the pitching, if the bats are going to go cold, you have to. And you haven't been getting it from there. So that equals a slide. And that's what you've seen.
I mean, listen, I understand that in baseball, there's hot and cold streaks all year, and it happens individually and it happens as a team. But what bothers me is that hot start that they had at 11-1, which has only been done from a very few teams in history. And I knew like I said, I knew they weren't going to start out like that at 11, at that 11-1 clip. But they have totally been on top of the mountain, and then they held an anvil and kind of jumped. That's how quick it kind of like just seemed like, holy shit, they're 18-17 now.
I know.
In
a blink of an eye.
Right, in a blink of an eye. And that's why it's frustrating. We need to have a counter on how many times I say frustrating today, because it might be like over 100. Well, that's legit how I'm feeling right now.
It's frustrating.
It's super frustrating. Now I'm going to throw some numbers out there on how frustrating it is, because I was really digging into this. I wanted to see how badly like we really were playing, and it's true. So if you go to the hitting side of the team, it's back to where we were these last couple of years. They're 25th, and this is the entire league. They're 25th in average at 230, 29th in hits, and this is out of 30 teams. You guys know this. 25th in home runs. And now these three stats are, more my favorite. 20th in on-base percentage. We know how important that is. As a team, they're 312 on-base percentage. 27th in OPS at 684. You want to at least get in that 700 range to be respectable. And 28th in slugging. Obviously, not hitting home runs, your slugging is going to be down at 372. So, I mean, there's the trend right there. They're at the bottom of the barrel in all like major hitting categories. So, I mean, that is nothing new from the past couple of years, but it's pissing me off so much, because that just tells me, and I think we knew this, that just tells me we need another 1 or 2 bats, maybe even 3 bats to be considered a good team offensively. Now, what has carried this team since we got all those young arms is the pitching, obviously. Now, team pitching this year so far. They're 18th in ERA. Didn't think we were going to be that high at 4.24. Here's my favorite stat. I don't know if you guys like this stat as a pitching stat. Batting average against. I think that might be my favorite stat. That's the most telling stat for me. They're 17th in the league. So teams are hitting 248. Now, this is the whole team. This is starters. This is relievers. And 13th in whip, which is not terrible. It's kind of above average, I guess. Now, what's really killing us this year, and it's funny, it's not the relievers more so. It's the starters. I mean, the relievers, they were first for a very long time, first in the league in most categories. And then they cooled off substantially. But they're still sort of respectable relievers. Starters, 20th in ERA at 4.44. I know Vargas is like 14 ERA doesn't help. This one pisses me off the most. You ready for this one for the starters?
Yeah.
They're 24th in innings pitched.
Yeah.
24th. That's going to kill a bullpen.
Yep.
Absolutely destroy a bullpen. And then, like I said, the stat I like, 23rd in batting average against. Teams are hitting 261 off the starters. I mean, I don't even need to go through the reliever stats because they're actually pretty decent. They're kind of like middle of the road. But as you can see, I mean, stat-wise, it's ugly. And I know, like, people get carried away with stats and people are like, you know what? Sometimes stats don't tell it all, but they do. The numbers don't lie, do they?
No.
And it's just, Mike, it's frustrating.
It's frustrating.
It's super frustrating. And you mentioned DeGrom. He's really the only starter that goes out there and I've been confident. I mean, he's pitching awesome right now. And that's why when he got hurt and it was an elbow issue, I like threw my hands up and like, I quit. That's it. I mean, I quit. The guy, all the guys gone out there and done is just absolutely pitched phenomenal. His ERA is under 2. He's 3-0 and he 54 strikeouts. His whip's under 1. I don't know. Like you said, dude, Syndergaard hasn't really been what he should be. I mean, this is what Syndergaard's line looks like. 2-1 with a 3.09. I mean, he's got 54 strikeouts too. 10 walks is actually a lot for him. He was a guy that just doesn't walk anybody. 10 walks is a lot for him in 46 and 2/3 innings. I don't know. This team is just, it's killing me. So I want to, and it's starting to get to the usual Mets mishaps. And Rye, I didn't see this. Thank the friggin' Lord. But what happened the other day in that game?
It's funny that you say this, that you didn't see, because I didn't see it here because I was at work.
Mm-hmm.
But I did see the update like on my phone, and I'm looking, and I'm just and it says Cabrera double, Cabrera out for batting out of order, or Bruce out for batting out, and I'm like, what? I'm like, what? What? I'm like, is this a fucking joke? Is this April fucking Fool's Day? What right now? I'm like, did Warren Beatty and Faye Dunaway hand in a fucking lineup card? I'm like, what happened today? What happened? And that's all again. I'm like, is this a joke? And then I'm looking on Twitter. I'm like, okay, maybe these guys are bullshitting me. And I'm like, seriously, I thought it was a joke. And I'm like, nope, not a freaking joke. And then I'm like, does this happen to other teams? And I'm like going banana. And I'm like, so I looked it up, and the last time it happened was 2016 with the Brewers or something. This is 2 cards, like, do we have to have like that? What is that? Like Waterhouse Cooper look over our freaking lineup card to make sure. Like, I just don't understand. I mean, it's so frustrating. Like, this is a blunder, and I hope that this is just that, and we don't ever see this again. And I don't think we will. But apparently, Willie Randolph made a big mistake. In Cincinnati, also his first year as Mets manager, and it wasn't like the lineup card, but it was a double switch. He screwed up a double switch, and they called him out on it or something, and they had to give up something. They lost. I don't remember exactly, but Willie Randolph screwed up a double switch in Cincinnati his first time. So maybe it's the air in Cincinnati or the bad Italian food. Who knows? That makes managers do something stupid. But I don't know. But listen, I got to take off for a little bit, boys. I'm glad you mentioned this this idiotic, moronic, ridiculous Mickey Mouse organization bullshit lineup card that you have guys like Steve Harvey and Warren Beatty and Faye Dunaway laughing that it finally happened to somebody else. They're forgiven and doing something stupid with a card that they read wrong or wrote out wrong or something stupid. And it's ridiculous.
Oh, I mean,
I'll try to be back on later.
Yeah, thanks, Ryan. I mean, you hit it on the head. Only the Mets, man. Only the Mets. Your Yankees don't do stuff like this. They don't. I'm sorry. They don't do stupid shit like this. To conclude this stupid team, right now, they are no better than a fourth place NL East team. The Phillies and the Braves are playing actually really well, especially the Braves. Nationals are starting to hit their stride like usual. We knew that was going to happen. And a team that was 11-1 once are now about to be a 500 team because Jake Arrieta has just shoved the bats up their ass. They're losing 1-0. We get one run let up by Steven Matz. I mean, I would throw my hands in the air, but I'm not because they're losing 1-0 in the eighth. So this team's a freaking joke. Wow. Again, I'm hoping the next time we're on here that something more positive will happen. But, I mean, on the other side of the coin, the Yankees have gone through a crazy, unbelievable streak, and they've been coming back in games. So, Mike, talk about some good baseball, please.
Yeah, well, 17 out of 18 is going to put you in a pretty good spot. I mean, they lost last night, a bunch of losers. Well, once I saw A-Rod and J-Lo, the camera kept going to them in the stands. I'm like, what a jinx, you know? So I'm not surprised. But again, they battled back from 4-0 to tie it in the seventh off Joe Fuckface Kelly. But of course, Boone thinks he can squeeze 2 innings out of Betances again. You know, you get a clean inning from Betances like you got in the seventh. You just take it to the bank, close up shop, and bring someone else in. I don't care who I don't care if you're bringing Chase and Shreve, who just threw the previous day, or I don't care if you bring in Billy Crystal. I don't care. Just not Betances again. Serves up a home run. A little Yankee Stadium special. Judge almost had it, and some fucking idiot Yankee fan tries to catch the ball. Why the fuck would you want to catch a Red Sox home run? Get the hell out of the way.
I know.
Jackass. Not like it probably didn't matter, but holy shit, dude. Yeah. So whatever. Yeah, walk-offs left and right from this team. Neil Walker with big hits. And Duhar walks it off against Cleveland. And then that Sunday game against Cleveland, I think, sums up the whole streak. I mean, going down to Houston and doing that, you know, they lost a game to Morton. Whatever. The next night, Verlander is just chopping their balls off. But that was the game Montgomery started, got hurt. Herman came in. This is the game before his first start. It was essentially a start because he came in the second inning and did a fantastic job, kept us in the game, and then Sanchez with the 3-run homer. Giles punches himself in the face because he's a fucking whack job.
Nice.
We're off and running there. So the job down in Houston to take 3 out of 4. Keep all those big silenced all week. Altuve didn't have any big hits. You know, great job. But the Cleveland series, the Andujar walk-off, and then that Sunday game. Back to that Sunday game. I mean, scoreless throughout, and then, you know, kind of had a bullpen implosion, mini implosion. Jonathan Holder just isn't a big leaguer. Feel bad for the kid. He's up here because Canley's still hurt. You know, we give up a 4 spot. We're down 4-0. It's just the perfect game to just pack it in. You know what I mean? We had a great streak. It's a rainy, kind of gloomy Sunday. You already won the series against Cleveland. back it in, but they didn't. They just don't. And then Torres with the walk-off home on that. Neil Walker with a huge double to follow Hicks double in the ninth, and then Glaber walks it off. It's just it's just really good stuff to see. I mean, and then the Boston series that just wrapped. Again, just that getting to Kimbrel there. Gardner's huge night the other night, and then Judge with the cherry on top with that missile. Just awesome stuff. I mean, tonight we open up with Oakland. We run through that gauntlet of a schedule. Houston, Cleveland, Boston, and do such a good job. 11-2, 10-2 in that stretch. Whatever it is. And then we get like this little lull in the schedule. And what do? Sonny Gray puts us in a huge hole. We're down 4-0 in the third. But again, we battle back tonight. Judge with a 3-run homer. It's 6-5 right now. We just had the bases loaded and 1 out in the seventh. Judge bases loaded walk to make it 6-5. And then with 3 and 4 coming up, Didi flew out. Stanton made an out. So a little disappointing there. So we're down 6-5 in the eighth. But Sonny Gray, his last 2 starts had been good. He was really the only question mark on this whole entire team the last 2-3 weeks. Severino's been, Severino's not much you can say. Tanaka's been good. CC struggled a bit last night, but he's been good. Herman, what can you say? I mean, the fill-in for Montgomery, and then his first major league start, he takes a no-hitter into the seventh and just has to take him out because of pitch count. But Gray, 2 pretty good starts. Then tonight, it's 7-5 Oakland because we got this kid Hale on the mound. I don't know who the hell that is. Some Scranton call up, I guess. Matt Joyce just took him deep. 7-5, whatever. But Gray put us in a hole. It's just he's the only question mark with his team. I mean, I guess if he never really figures it out, which is a disappointing thought, at least we didn't give up. You think about what we gave up for him. I mean, we gave up Dustin Fowler, who actually returned to Yankee Stadium tonight with the A's. Remember, he was the one who got hurt.
Right. Yeah, I do remember that. Didn't he run into the wall or something like that?
Never gotten that bat. Remember, bottom of the first, he goes out to right field and chases that ball down to the side wall and runs into the wall and that electrical box or whatever. And
I remember that.
Just annihilated his knee.
He was the redhead, right? No, not the redhead. No,
that's Clint Frazier.
Oh, Clint Frazier.
That's the Red Rocket. Who's had that concussion in spring training. I think he's slowly getting back into baseball.
Okay, so you still have him in the organization.
Yes. Okay. He's been on the shelf for a while with that concussion, which scares you. But I think he's getting back to kind of swinging.
You don't really need him right now. So let him get healthy.
Yeah, exactly. There's no rush there. But Fowler, good to see him healthy and back. Because I mean, a lot of people, thinking kind of having a Moonlight Graham situation from Field of Dreams, or he finally gets the call. He's obviously hitting at the bottom of the order. We're in Chicago, so he doesn't hit in the first. He goes out to the field, bottom of the first, tears his knee up.
Yeah, I remember that one now.
So he was in that Sonny Gray trade. It was him, it was Caprillion, and it was Jorge Mateo. So Mateo has been terrible down in the A's minor leagues, and Caprillion hasn't really pitched, I think, since he was like 7 years old. It seems like always hurt. So
he's all right.
So I guess it's not like we traded away huge future pieces here, but Gray has to be better.
Yeah, he has to.
You're always looking to improve your team. Obviously, we will be buyers at the deadline. You would think. I think a pitcher is definitely going to be on the plate, acquiring one, that I should say. So we'll see. Getting ahead of myself there. It's still only May 11th.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you
for the Mets too. It's still only May 11th.
Right, I know. You got to ask the questions, though. I mean, you got to talk about it.
Of course.
I mean,
of course.
it seems as though this team, if they had a weak link, I guess their weakest would be their starting pitching.
Right.
But okay, so let's say, let's say you have the starting pitch you have right now. Let's just say these are the guys that are going to go out there in the playoffs. Can this team win the World Series? Can it win it all with this starting pitching right now?
Yeah, I think so, because remember, in the playoffs you can shorten it.
Right.
So in a playoff series, we're looking at Severino, Tanaka, and CC for sure.
Veteran, yeah, I would do.
Remember, Sonny Gray didn't really have to pitch much in the playoffs last year. He had that start against Cleveland where he was not so good. He pitched that game 4. He started that game 4 against Houston in the ALCS. I think that was at that game. He pitched well. He made one mistake to Gurriel, the 3-run double. But he battled pretty well. But, I can't trust Sonny Gray right now. I really can't. I can't trust him in a game against the fucking Oakland A's on May 11th. So I can't trust him in October against Cleveland, Houston, Boston. But the top 3 guys are fine. Now, after that, is Domingo Germán ready for that spot? He might be. I mean, the kid seems pretty cold-blooded. His stuff is electric. I mean, and he's got the changeup. He's already got the pitch that keeps you in the big leagues. Every kid that comes up has the electric fastball and the frisbee slider nowadays.
Yeah.
But those guys are a dime a dozen. Why don't they stick? It's the third pitch. I mean, it really is. And he's got it already. And he's got the confidence in it. So I think the kid has a really, really good chance to stick here. Getting ahead of ourselves talking playoffs, who knows? But to answer your question, yeah, I think because I trust Severino and I trust CC and I trust Tanaka, I'll take 3 guys I feel good about and roll the dice with everyone else. And once the bullpen's full and healthy, that shortens games too. So
absolutely.
Yeah, I think the staff's good enough to win.
And you actually kind of answered the second question I was going to ask you. I mean, and it's probably inevitable. They're probably going to be buyers, and a buyer would probably be the starting pitching. And that was going to be my question to you. Like, are they going to make a deal for a starting pitcher at the deadline?
Yeah, I think they're going to. Or
you would have to. I mean, they have the youth too to send some prospects or whatever.
Right. We still have, like baseball, whatever, prospectus or whatever. I think we're second or third still.
Yeah. Yep. I think you guys are.
All these prospects have graduated to big league status. So that's saying something. We still have a lot down there. But the question is, like, who would that be?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'd have to look at it. Obviously, we have a lot of time to go to see who's going to be sellers. But I think a name that is interesting is Bumgarner.
Ooh.
Now, a couple things there. He's hurt right now, but it was, fluky. He got hit with a line drive. He'll be back here at some point.
Yeah.
The injury last year was fluky. He was riding a fucking dirt bike in the offseason. So these aren't throwing injuries. And this might help him. It might, it's not logging a lot of innings because the guy throws a ton of innings. So it's almost like he's had some rest here with these weird injuries.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to have to give up a lot for him too. And
yes, right. That's the next question. What are you giving up? I mean,
2 big prospects.
Yeah,
and
listen, I think
major league ready guy right now.
I think Andujar.
Yes, there you go.
Would have to be
in that deal
package, and I think I would do that.
Oh yeah.
I think Torres is the untouchable king.
Right.
I think Cashman's made that evident. But, and then guys, you still have Estevan Florial, who I love down in the minors. The center fielder, is he, would he have to be in the conversation? Maybe. we still have Justice Sheffield and Chance Adams on the mound. Still have Domingo Germán. We'll see how, So we definitely have the pieces to pull that off.
I mean, he's still young too.
He's only 28.
28, yeah. He's like right in his prime.
So, holy shit. I mean,
lefty too. Oof.
Right. You would have to, and forget about worrying about, him handling New York. I mean, this guy's been a playoff animal.
Oh my God. Yep.
So, I mean,
Good
come on.
call there.
You've seen it. So, seen it firsthand.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you don't worry about that. You could even fucking Otani him and DH him some nights because he hits Yabo every time. It's like 6 homers a year. So it'll be interesting once we get closer to the deadline. You still got a lot of time, obviously. But all in all, I mean, what a run. So we're right back in the thick of it. Boston had that amazing start. We answered. And I think it's going to be fun all year with these two teams, to be honest.
And you know what? Like, are you kind of? You're probably not. Knowing you, Mike, you're probably not. But are you kind of like annoyed or pissed off that the Yankees didn't go out and pay for Garrett Cole? Just looking at what he's been doing this year. Did they even offer him anything or no?
That I'm not sure.
Yeah, they may have. We may not even know though.
I don't know because there was obviously talks that it would have been a good fit, and he was the kind of guy the Yankees were looking for. He's still under team control, still a controllable arm, and I don't know. Maybe Houston is cheating, and if he came here, it wouldn't have been the same story. I don't know. Hell of a season so far for him. He's been untouchable.
Oh my God, he's been unbelievable.
That whole staff. I
know. That's. Oh my God, no! I didn't even see Stanley's text. Mets top of the ninth hit back-to-back home runs. They're up 3-1.
There you go.
Fordo 2-run shot. Mesoraco.
Let's talk about Mesoraco for a quick sec.
Oh, go ahead. I
mean, this kid and Conforto. Don't worry about Conforto.
I know. I'm getting crazy.
Kick a little rust off. He'll be fine. Mesoraco. Remember when Mesoraco came up a few years ago?
Mm-hmm.
I think it was 2014. Dude, the kid was hitting like 400 his first I
remember that
in the big league. Yep. It was like a long time. He raked. And then he just got injury after injury after injury after injury. It was ridiculous. I mean, the kid could not stay on the field. He couldn't even get on the field, not even stay on it. He couldn't get on it.
Mm-hmm.
And apparently to the Reds, a lot of the Reds people are saying he's finally healthy again. So, I mean, it's even an injured Devin Mesoraco, even a corpse is an upgrade from fucking Lido and
Lobatone.
Ear Lobatone.
Yeah, high batone.
Jose Ear Lobatone. But a healthy Mesoraco is a giant upgrade. And, if he comes in here and hits, man, instantly lengthens the lineup and gives you some pop from behind the dish that you've been starving for.
I'll tell you, man, and I've been thinking about it the past few days. What a fall from grace, Matt Harvey. What a fall from grace. A guy who came into the league just an absolute stud. Mets and Red Sox had those, preliminary talks about Harvey for Betts or Harvey for Bogarts. And now you guys
laughed.
Devin Mesoraco. Wow.
Yeah.
And you know what? I kind of laugh because he goes to the worst team in baseball right now.
And not a great park to resurrect a pitching career.
Right.
I know you heard Harvey for Betts and Met fans went, get the fuck out of here. No way. And now it's Harvey for Mesoraco. You're like, all right, that's better than a bag of balls, which I would have taken too. So, yes. and we're talking in a period of what, 3.5, 4 years? 3 years?
Yeah. I mean,
we're not talking like a decade later. It's not a Tom Seaver. This is like it's a fall from grace. It's the best way to put it. Now,
it is.
Part of me feels bad for him because it's hard enough to come back from Tommy John, and apparently it's really hard to come back from this thoracic outlet.
It's such a weird.
But to come back from both.
Yeah.
I mean, that's asking a lot. It's asking a lot. But listen, this is part 2 of that, and this is where it's on Matt Harvey. If that happens to you, you have to just look at yourself in the mirror and go, listen, I've been dealt a bad hand with these injuries. I'm not going to bitch about it. I'm not going to complain about it. But I have to make some changes, and I have to eat a piece of humble pie if that means go to the minor leagues, try to figure some things out. Maybe a different pitching coach in the organization can give me some open my eyes to a new idea or a new theory or something and see how you do. Or, Mickey Callaway goes, all right, Matt, we're going to move you to the bullpen. Take some pride in that and take it as a good opportunity to be a really good relief pitcher. I mean, what's the problem, dude? Relievers they're making bank too these days. Dude, you're going to make your money even in the bullpen.
I'm 100% with you. And he didn't eat the humble pie. He ate the dick pie. That's what he ate.
He serves up the dick pie. He's still acting like he's an all-star.
I know. And he's not. He's awful
not even
right
close.
now.
He's not even a big league pitcher right now.
Right. You need to be humble in this situation. Put the blame on you. Try to get better. Tell the media you're going to try to get better. You're going to do anything the team tells you to do to help this team win. But you didn't do that. No, you were an asshole about it.
His ego is so big that he went, look at these bullshit injuries. I'm still Matt Harvey, so it doesn't matter.
Right. No, it doesn't work.
That was the message. And no, it doesn't work that way.
And I'm glad they designated him for assignment. That was the time to do it. That was it. They've had enough.
Yeah, really. It's good for them, seriously. For an organization that handles things horribly. Sometimes. It's not all the time. But good for them. Matt Harvey does not call the shots here.
Yeah, no. When you handled the situation like that, you know what? And it's funny because if he didn't handle it that way, if he was humble, if he did kind of put the blame on himself and try to do everything he can to get better, I don't think they designate him. I think they work with him for a little while, and they try to see if he can better himself and better the team. But
listen,
he has to be an asshole.
It sucks that he is not the same pitcher anymore, but his attitude and his outlook is the reason why the split happened. And
right.
And John Heyman had a very interesting story. He wrote an article about Harvey going to Cincinnati, and but he was a cancer in the clubhouse. If this story was true, that it had to be. The story was the Mets were down playing in Miami. They had an off day after the series. Harvey asked Terry to stay a day later just because he wanted to hang out in Miami and party or whatever.
Wow. So
he did, okay? And he comes back and he's in the locker room and he's bragging about, the exploits he had with, probably a pretty attractive girl down in Miami and this and that. And from across the clubhouse, and I wish I knew who it was, a veteran player said something to the effect like, yeah, but, has she seen you pitch? and said it in a tone of like, enough with your bullshit, dude. We don't care. You suck. Go bang whoever you want, all the supermodels you want. Dude, you suck. And we're tired of hearing about it. That was kind of like the tone, at least that I got from it. So if any part of that's true, then it got to be too much of a problem, and they just had to do it.
Yeah, it was the time to do it. I'm glad they did it. And you know what? You get somebody out of the situation as well. And listen, he hit a home run just now, and maybe if he doesn't get hurt, he's the guy we need to just give us a little offensive boost.
Yeah,
we'll take anything right now for this offense. But yeah, enough of Harvey. I'm sick of talking about him. One thing I wanted to do, another baseball story. How about this? I'm sure you heard about about the David Price story. Did you hear about this David Price story?
Yeah.
So for the people who didn't hear, I was listening to on the radio this morning. I'm kind of cracking up, and I know about this game, this video game, because the kids play it at my school. It's called Fortnite. It's kind of like the old Call of Duty like shooter games.
Okay.
But it's more third person kind of shooter. And it's kind of the same thing though. You go around, you shoot people, you get points, whatever, and you win for your team and all this crap. I don't know too much about it, but that's what it is. Anyway, so David Price plays it so much that this motherfucker got carpal tunnel from playing freaking Fortnite, and he had to miss a start.
Well, this is what gets me.
Go ahead.
First of all, he says that the carpal tunnel is not from playing Fortnite, but then he goes, I'm going to stop playing Fortnite. Well, why?
Yeah.
And then number 2, it just happens to be before his start against the Yankees. Oh, really, dude?
Dude, it's from video games. We've played video games before, and if you go on an 8-hour video game binge, you know how your wrists feel and your fingers feel and all that crap after that.
Dude, he sucks, dude.
It's because he's playing too many video games.
Yeah, but if this was a start, against Tampa, I don't know.
Isn't he awful against the Yankees too? His ERA is insane. It's like terrible.
It's hilarious. We absolutely own the guy every single time. So I don't know, Price.
I thought that was a funny story, and I knew you would enjoy that because it's the Red Sox.
Oh, Jesus.
Carpal tunnel from playing video games.
It's almost as good as when Joaquin Benoit hurt himself playing Guitar Hero.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I remember that.
How much Guitar Hero do you have to play to not be able to pitch?
Wasn't it like, was it a forearm injury too?
I forget exactly what it was.
Because when you're strumming on that, I know that puts a lot of strain on your forearm.
Yes, dude. If he's playing Through Fire and the Flames on Expert, like absolutely shredding on Expert, I could see him trying to beat that high score. My forearm would hurt.
And the funny thing is, like, they were saying, like, David Price, like, he's playing it in the clubhouse too for like hours.
I know. Well, that's what he said. I'm not going to play it in the clubhouse anymore. Yeah. I didn't get carpal tunnel from playing Fortnite, guys, but I'll stop playing in clubhouse.
Yeah, he's just trying to make excuses. And
let's wait for his next turn against the Yankees. He'll say, he has a wart on his butt and he can't pitch or something.
He's got hemorrhoids
from playing Fortnite.
I just thought that I'm glad, like, it just popped in my mind because I was listening to on the radio this morning, and I'm like, "Are you kidding me?"
Unbelievable.
Kind of a cool little story too. I listened to in the morning. See, down here it's interesting because they have they used to have the ESPN radio, but I don't know where that went. All of a sudden, it was just like gone one day. So I listened to it's a CBS, so it's kind of affiliated with WFAN.
Mm-hmm.
And it's, Mark Malusis.
Moose, sure.
Yeah. So it's Mark Malusis and this guy Taz. He was a wrestler.
I remember Taz, the wrestler.
Yeah, you remember Taz? So
absolutely.
It's Taz and the Moose.
Huh, interesting.
In the morning. And they took over for it was Giannotti before he took the Boomer, the morning show with WFAN. It was Gio and Jones, Brian Jones, who used to be a football player. Big Cowboys fan, loves Texas football too. But anyway, it was Gio and Jones. So once Giannotti went, with Boomer, they split up. And Jones didn't want to do the show anymore, so they brought in Malusis and Taz. It's Taz and the Moose. So I listened to them in the morning, and they were talking about, where the hell was I going with this? I digress a little bit.
Yeah, you meandered. We were talking.
We meandered a little bit. See what happens when you.
First, it was the Price story, but you were listening to the radio this morning.
Wow, this is so terrible.
Where was it going?
Where was this story?
Was it baseball?
Oh, no. Here we go.
Okay, back on it.
Had nothing to do with baseball, but
okay.
This actually happens to do with us and actually Rocky Point.
Ah.
Yeah, pretty interesting. And I'm listening to them, and they're talking, and they're big radio guys, they're big faces. We've heard them before, and they were discussing something. Oh, they were talking about the lacrosse, actually. Like Taz loves lacrosse or something, whatever. I think his son plays, but they were talking about like the NCAAs, which are coming up, and they were discussing Stony Brook women's, and they actually had mentioned Joe Spallina on the show, which is pretty. And Taz is like, yeah, I know Joe Spallina, this and that. I was like, wow, that's so interesting.
Yeah, Joe's big time, man.
I know he's big time, but I just kind of thought that was interesting. I'm like, it caught my ear. I was like, yep, I know that guy too.
Well, shout out to our buddy, head coach Andrew Ashantino, Rocky Point Baseball League champs this year.
I know. I saw that. It's awesome. Congrats, Ash.
And our old buddy Ryan McSherry, Longwood League One champions.
Yep, saw that too. Excellent. Great job, guys.
Absolutely. And the playoffs start Monday. I got to check the bracket, see where everyone's laid out. And
go check
gotta go try to definitely Rocky Point. I would love to go see McSherry coach with Longwood too in a playoff game, but see what I can get to. Definitely gonna try.
Yeah, definitely get to that. I'll man, I would love to come up and do that, but not gonna happen.
Yeah.
But yeah, shout out to those two guys. That's awesome. Let's finish off with the NFL draft, a little post draft talk.
Yeah.
Let's see how our teams did.
We like it, yes?
We do. I mean, I know we've discussed this via text, but I think we like it. And the Giants, they had a primetime spot here at number 2, and there was a lot going on, a lot of talk going on. And we talked about this draft being quite an interesting draft going into it, and we didn't really know what was going to happen. Very unpredictable going up until the draft. Baker Mayfield goes number 1 to the Browns after we thought that maybe he would go to the Jets. So the Giants are sitting at 2. And, I had that feeling for like a week up into the draft that they were going to go with the best player available and go with a stud running back in Saquon Barkley. And they did. And I was pumped. I went to this, bar restaurant with our buddy Jay Gray and my brother Justin, and so we watched the draft there. And when the Giants when that douche Goodell announced Barkley, dude, I kind of went nuts in the bar because I think that's just it's a great pick. It's a great pick, man.
It is.
You get your stud running back.
It is.
It's a sexy pick,
It is, and it's splashy, but it made sense. I mean, because we talked about it a lot. You can't trade down there unless someone only a few spots below you wants Barkley. Right, we talked about that. A team that wanted the quarterback, you can't trade down with because you don't want to be sitting in that 11 or 12 spot and get what you need. So if you didn't listen, if you didn't love Darnold and they didn't, then you take Barkley, and I think you should be happy about it. I mean, yeah, it's a running back. Yeah, the shelf life is shorter, blah blah blah, but the impact is going to be immediate. It's going to be big.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to help right away. And, he's going to be he's special, and he's going to be special right away.
Yeah. And you know what? It's just they needed to make some sort of splash like that, and they did. I know, that offensive line struggled mightily the last couple of years. You could have traded down to try to, get one of those big mamma jammas. But you know what? Come round 2, pick 34, I believe. You get your bruiser. You get your running bruiser to clear some lanes for Barkley and Will Hernandez. And dude, coming into that day, second pick, so they pretty much they don't kick it off, but they're that next pick. So once the Browns make a pick, I'm sitting there the whole time, actually all day, because I'm just kind of reading up a little bit, and I'm like, offensive line's probably a good spot right here. Get one of those big dudes. Gettleman loves his hog mollies, and they go out and get Will Hernandez from UTEP. And I watched a little highlights, little film from him, and dude, he looks good. I love the pick. The guy just cleared lanes like you wouldn't believe, and he's not the tallest dude, but he's strong. Strong.
He's strong and he's mean.
Yeah.
He's got a mean streak to him, and he is a hog molly. Gettleman probably was targeting him for a long time. So he's my favorite pick of the Giant draft. Barkley's he was the best player in the draft.
Mhm.
Listen, you got the best player in the draft who happens to be a running back, and you got the best run blocker in the draft. So I mean, A+ with those two.
Yeah, definitely. And I'll just round off our other picks really quick, so we don't have to spend too much time. But round 3 they go linebacker and get Lorenzo Carter from Georgia, who actually I like this guy.
Yeah, another good pick.
Yeah, and he'll play outside in that 3-4. I think you can never. We just picked up. We just traded for Ogletree this year, which I thought was an excellent trade.
Yeah.
Now you get a guy like Lorenzo Carter, so they're building up that linebacking core to play that 3-4, which I'm pretty pumped for. It's different than I've seen. The Giants have always been that 4-3 defensive scheme, and this will be interesting. I'm kind of excited, to be honest with you. Something different to watch on the defensive end. And they now have the talent. They gotta stick together and work as a defensive unit like they should, and they can be that defense they were 2 years ago. They can. They still have the talent there. They got Landon Collins. They got Vernon. They got Snacks Harrison. So you add a guy like Ogletree, who's been proven already, and now you draft a guy like Lorenzo Carter, and then their other 3rd round pick, who they got in the JPP deal. They get that guy BJ Hill out of North Carolina State, the D tackle, which I think was a great pick too. Just keep adding on to that defensive line, because that is where the Giants have made their money, man. I'll tell you, is that defensive line. And just skipping a pick really quick, in round 5, which was their last pick, they get another defensive tackle from Miami, RJ McIntosh, who they said they'll probably use outside as well. On that 3-4 defense, they'll make him a little bit of a defensive end, or they might rotate him inside as well, because you have Dalvin Tomlinson too. Snacks is obviously going to start, right? That nose,
right?
And then you're definitely going to roll in Tomlinson, who had a great rookie year last year, by the way. So you'll bring him in, and now you got guys like Hill and McIntosh to see how they do. And then you know what? They got their quarterback. If we rewind around round 4, they grabbed that guy Kyle Lauletta from Richmond. So you know what? Guy had a great what was it? That pro game.
The Senior Bowl.
The Senior Bowl. Yeah, there you go. The Senior Bowl. They had a great game. I think that's where he kind of stood out to some of the scouts and everything. But we'll see. He can battle it out with Webb for the future.
Sure.
You know what? If they can be somewhat serviceable and maybe open some eyes, who knows? So we did end up getting a quarterback. But those are all the picks we had. If I were to give this draft for the Giants a grade, I'll go B+.
Okay. I would grade it higher.
Yeah, A-.
I would put him in the A range.
All right, I'll go B+, A-. I'll put it together. I'll be annoying like that.
Okay. Yeah, we'll give him like a 90.
Right. There you go, a 90. If we're going numbers. So the Packers, they had the most picks in the draft. What'd you see from them?
Yeah, well, we'll start with the silly ones, because when you have the most picks in the draft, we ended up losing 1 in trade. So we had 11 picks.
Damn.
Drafted a punter. Drafted a long snapper. Which is silly, but when you have 11 picks, and listen, that told me that. Right. Listen, Goody, his first draft, I thought he did very well. His board held up in the later rounds, so he didn't get silly and started moving just for the sake of moving, because he has all these picks. He trusted his board, got his guys, and away we go. Now the first round was interesting. I was joking with you guys. Last year I had to stay up to the late 20s just to see them trade the pick away, and then ended up taking Kevin King early in the second. So I'm going, oh wow, 14th pick. It's still in the prime time. So here we go, and we're getting to 14, and there's a few defensive players I want to see them pick. Minkah Fitzpatrick. His name's escaping me already. Florida State, Derwin James,
Yeah.
and Tremaine Edmonds, who's still only a teenager. I could not believe that.
Wow.
He's 19.
Jeez.
So Fitzpatrick goes to Miami, and then Washington, they pick right before us, and they all of a sudden we have Tremaine Edmonds and Derwin James on the board there, and I'm about to cream my pants, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
And I see they trade the pick away. I almost got in the car and just drove into the woods. I couldn't believe it. I could not believe it. But, Goody, first draft behind the wheel, but no stranger to this. He knows how it works. So what does he do? Trades back to 27 with the Saints, gets their first rounder next year, and then trades back up into 18 and gets the guy they wanted anyway.
That's great.
So we trade back a net of 4 spots. We get Jair Alexander, who was our guy the whole time, apparently, and I'm fine with that, and get the Saints' first-round pick next year.
Nice.
So a great job in the first round there. Second round, we double down on corner and take Josh Jackson, who I saw a lot of mock drafts going in the first round. So no disrespect to Denzel Ward at Ohio State, but I think those two guys were the top 2 corners on some boards. Not everyone's board, obviously not Cleveland's board, but some boards liked Alexander and Jackson the best, and we got them both.
Hey, and you've always said, man, you can never have enough cornerbacks, correct?
Well, when you can't find the guy, yeah.
I feel like you guys have been drafting cornerbacks for the last 10 years.
We have. We tried this with Randall and Rollins. Rollins could never stay in the field. Randall had, flashes. Now he's on Cleveland. But King, I think, is a hit. He played really well last year. You add these two guys into a room where you bring back, Tramon Williams is back on a 1 year. Devon House. Now, Devon House, we struggled last year, but we asked him to do too much. Now a guy like House and Williams, they're going to get important snaps on the outside, but it's more of a leadership role. It's more to groom these kids because those 3 guys are the future. I mean, King and Jackson on the outside, and you put Alexander, a fast, tough little son of a bitch, in the slot. Not afraid to get his nose dirty. Really excited about that. And pretty much, we drafted a lineman, we drafted a pass rusher, but the other big story of the draft was 3 receivers. And what stood out to me was the size. They are all big. Jamon Moore was the first one we took from Mizzou, 6'4", 220. The kid St. Brown, don't even ask me to say his first name, Equiminius. Equiminius? I might have that right.
You got that guy?
You got Equiminius.
Equiminius St. Brown.
Sorry, Equiminius, if I'm saying your name wrong, but
excellent. I didn't know
kid.
you guys got him.
Yeah, 6'4", again, 6'3", 6'4", 220. Nice. And then the kid from South Florida, another tongue twister. He's got a hyphenated last name. It's Valdez Scantling or something. This kid's more of a project, but when you look at the numbers and see that he's 6'3.5", 220 pounds, and ran a 4.37.
Wow.
That combination of speed and size does not grow on trees. You can't teach that shit. So just teach him how to run the route and catch the ball. They said there was some routes on the tree he struggles with tracking the football a little bit. But you put him in a good system with Aaron Rodgers, teach him a little bit, because that size and speed is exciting. So obviously a big receiver. Because really, think about it, it's Devontae Adams who's blossomed into a star in the league. I think we can say.
Yes.
And then Randall. We love Randall Cobb. We all love Randall Cobb, but he's been banged up. But with those 2 guys in the field, and just if one of these young guys hit, you're gonna have 3 good ones. You have Jimmy Graham now. You still have 12 behind center. So, because remember, the receivers we've drafted in the last handful of years have not worked out. I'm talking about guys not even making the team.
Yeah.
So, Trevor Davis, he's going to be on the roster, but, he's a return guy and kind of a fill-in receiver. So you're taking 3 cracks at a replacement for Jordy Nelson, and you got to think you got a pretty good shot of hitting on one.
Right.
So that puts us in a good spot. So a really good draft by Gutekunst. That trade in the first round almost gave me a heart attack, but it was a sly fucking move, man. It was a really, really good move to get a first rounder from the Saints, who remember moved up, and everyone thought it was for Lamar Jackson.
Right.
To move up to that spot, right, at 14, and they end up taking who's that defensive lineman from what's his name? He was definitely on my radar for the Packers for a while, but I can't. Davenport? Why does that sound? Not Davenport.
Oh, that was somebody.
Hey, I'm going to look this up real quick because I want to get this right. But what a surprise! I mean, to give up a first round pick,
yeah,
to move up and not take the quarterback. I mean, the guys on set at NFL Network were going, well, Christ, to trade away a first rounder to move up 14 spots in the first round. How is that not for a quarterback?
Right.
But it was Marcus Davenport.
Okay.
From Texas San Antonio. Freak athlete, may end up being a really, really good player, but surprising. So anyway, that's who the Saints took, moving up with the Packers. Packers traded back to trade right back up. And I even said it. I was texting with your brother at the time because we were both collectively about to have a heart attack. But I said there's no way on God's green earth the Packers just sit at 27 and pick there. They're going to be moving back up. They had so many picks to do it.
Right.
And they did it. And I think they did a really good job. So A-.
Okay.
And away we go.
And you know what? Just one thing on Barkley that I love too. The talent is great. It is. The talent's great, but if you have a guy that has that much talent but is showing that he's an issue either in the locker room or off the field, kind of like Odell is kind of starting to be, it puts a crimp in the style. It really does. It puts a little negative attention. But this guy, I just keep hearing great things about Saquon Barkley. He's already doing, stuff with the kids there, charities, and he's working with some people. He's just great character guy too. And that's what the scouts kept saying too. And one thing he said that I see a quote that he says, "I don't want to be that guy that thinks he is a high draft pick and that he has it all. Nothing is given to you. Everything is earned. You have to have that mindset." Just that small little quote there. I just like where his mind is at. I really do.
I saw him working some, I don't know if they were OTAs, but some rookie drills,
Right.
And they said he was working on running a little Texas route, which is that little, you angle out towards the flat and then cut to the middle.
Mm-hmm.
And he was just working on subtle movement to try to kind of sell like he's going into the flat and then sticking his foot in the ground and running the Texas. And he wanted to keep running it. I think whoever was running the drill was like, okay, let's move on to the next thing. And he said, no, I don't think it's good enough yet. It's little things like that he already gets. There's so many nuances, especially at that position, jumping to this level.
Yep.
That a lot of kids coming out of college take for granted. And I think he gets it. And even Will Hernandez, you hear him. I don't care if I play left guard, right guard,
right. Yep.
I'll kick if coaches ask me to. I mean, it's the kind of kids you want. Obviously, you love to have those kind of guys in the locker room. And listen, like you said, having the talent is one thing, but that only takes you so far.
Yeah, man, and a team like this that went through so much last year, you need guys like that nice, young, fresh faces that are coming out and will do anything for the team. And you know what's great about Barkley too, other than that, like we're talking about his play, obviously the type of runner he is and how he can, receive the ball out of the backfield. He's a great blocker too.
Yeah.
And that is going to be absolutely huge with, an offensive line that's still, iffy. We don't know how they're going to perform together yet. So when you get a guy that can block as well, I mean, that's going to be huge, especially, blocking for a guy like Eli Manning, who's 37 or going to be 37. So, I mean, this guy's bringing it all. He's got the intangibles, and I'm super excited to get football started to watch this guy play.
Absolutely, and he understands that being able to pass block in this league is going to keep you on the field. You're going to be playing third downs. You're going to be on the field if you can help in pass protection. So, and you mentioned Beckham. My last point here. You hope that because Beckham's still so young, that you hope that kind of these two guys in particular, hopefully it's the whole draft class, that this kind of change in culture, because you mentioned last year you really needed a jolt of this, positive energy. You hope that something like that can rub off on Beckham still.
Uh-huh.
You still think there's hope that Beckham can look at these guys and say, you know what? Yeah, let's all buy into something here. This is a little bigger than myself. I don't know if that's the case with him. You hope it is because he is still so young. He's not an old dog yet that can't be taught a new trick. So hopefully that's the case because, with all this young talent, man, and, a wily old vet at quarterback, you all pull on the rope in the same direction, man. You can do a lot of good things.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm hoping what you're saying happens to this kid. He's got to be excited for what just perspired in the draft, and it just let's hope they come out on top and they have a much better season this year. But post draft, I think both our teams did very well. Like we said, we're A-ish, 90-ish grade if we're going to grade them. And it's going to be exciting. I mean, we're still in the throes of baseball, but, little things like that get you excited for football. You want to see some of these young dudes play.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know about you, dude, but I mean, not much to mention. I haven't really watched any playoff hockey, to be honest with you.
No.
If you have.
No, not really.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy. Isn't it crazy? Even when my team was out, like when the Rangers were out, they made the playoffs the last ton of years. I don't know how many years in a row was it? It was a lot.
Yeah.
They had a nice string of playoff runs. And even when they got knocked out, I still watched a little more hockey because I was still kind of in it. This year, dude, oh my God, I really haven't watched anything. I would flip through and just kind of like catch a few minutes here and there, but that's it, man.
I think if it turns out to be, say, like Washington and Winnipeg in the finals, that matchup kind of wets my whistle a little bit. The Winnipeg team's very good, and you look at kind of a matchup of Ovechkin against Laine, kind of very similar players, but Laine's in kind of the Ovechkin mold and almost a passing of the torch, the old and the young, both in their first final. I think that would be fun. Vegas is a cool story, but to be honest, if it's Tampa against Vegas in the Stanley Cup final, you catch me watching, a rodeo before that. I'm sorry. It's just that doesn't get me going at all.
Well, I'm only rooting for Tampa for the Rangers' sake.
Yeah, exactly. It helps our pick.
I mean, they can actually win this year or next year. It's either or.
We could still just completely fuck up that pick.
Oh, of course,
which we probably would.
And the guys that were Rangers that are over there, I like them, so it would be kind of cool to see them. I would be happy for them.
Yeah, me too. But a part of me would still just be pissed off too. Like,
of course,
this is like literally like our team.
Got everybody over there.
Why am I not celebrating this championship? You know what I mean?
I know. And you know what? You bring up Vegas. It really is a cool story, man. You sit back and think about it. This expansion
unbelievable.
team, first year, this never happens, dude. It's
You're
a
not
team.
even supposed to be good.
No, you're not supposed to be good. You're supposed to, quote unquote, being a kind of like a rebuilding team, would be like that kind of record. But this team, I don't know, man.
Let alone be like a 500 team. Okay.
Right.
Let alone make the playoffs, sneak into the playoffs and getting swept. No. Making the playoffs and getting in the conference final.
Unbelievable.
Ridiculous.
So you kind of have to give it to them big time.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's crazy. But yeah, I hear what you're saying. But all in all, I really haven't watched much at all.
No, me neither.
Just flipped through a little bit. So there's really not much to talk about there. But got some a lot coming up. Stanley not here right now, but I know he's pretty pumped up for Sunday, and I would be too if my team was playing. And then you got the Western Conference kicking off Monday, I believe. I think they play Sunday, Monday. So I know he's going to be pumped up for that. I'll watch for DFS purposes, and then a lot of baseball to be played.
Always.
So a lot of baseball. When's the French Open coming up? It's coming up, right?
Well, it's usually right at the end of May, so we're probably a couple weeks away here.
Okay, so that'll be exciting. Another major, these tennis majors are fun to watch.
Oh.
This is like probably the least out of the four, but it's still a major. Still watch it.
Yeah, I like it. I love the clay.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's different, a different dynamic to the game.
Right.
So, and obviously you would think that Nadal is the proverbial favorite right now.
I think he's always favored on clay until he's dead.
Until he's dead. He's still a good player. So picking his wedgie,
Loves his clam diggers. Picking his wedgies, eating his bananas. He'll be there.
Oh man, but and is Federer playing or no? Is he going to play in this?
I don't know. I haven't been.
I know. I haven't seen
much.
Maybe Rye would know.
I hope he is.
Yeah, I hope he is. I feel like if he does play, it like I don't know. It kind of sends a signal that this could be his last year. Because he kind of would want to play all four in his last year. And if he doesn't play, I have a sense that he's not done yet. I don't know. That's what I'm thinking.
All right, real quick before we head out here.
Go ahead.
A little local baseball. So we got the playoff bracket here.
Okay.
Let's see. We'll start with our boy McSherry out in Longwood. They're obviously in the big school AA. They got the 6th seed. So they're down in this. They split into 4 brackets. The large school, 17 teams. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, it is cool. It's crazy.
So they open them against Hills East at home on Monday. Play the winner of Comac and Sachem North, and away they go there. And of course, our alma mater, Rocky Point, 2 seed in the A.
Beautiful.
What a shock! Shoreham, Wading River, 1 seed. So they get a bye. Well, actually, top 3 get a bye here. It's an 11 seed tournament. So Shoreham 1, Rocky Point 2, Sayville 3, Miller Place 4. All the big dogs there.
Mm-hmm.
Rocky Point will open Wednesday. They get the winner of East Islip Harbor Fields at home in the backyard there at RP. So looking forward to that. Yeah,
that's great. I hope you catch a game here and there. Yeah. Wish I could. And good luck to Ash and McSherry.
Yes,
be nice to see them go far.
Let's have double county championships here.
Yeah, it'd be kind of fun.
Fun.
So yeah, we're gonna get out of here. I hope everybody enjoys a couple weeks of nice weather coming through. Some good baseball, some playoff action, basketball and hockey, and like we said, tennis is coming up as well. Please check us out on all the social platforms, especially our YouTube channel, as well as our Twitter handle at The Angry Hacks. Give us a tweet. And, of course, download our episodes on iTunes. Give us a review. Tell us how we're doing. If we suck, let us know. If we're great, let us know as well. But we're going to be out of here, and enjoy your night. Enjoy your weekend, guys. Peace out.